There's a new Northeast DC shopping center in the Langdon neighborhood called the Black and Forth. This shopping center may seem a little different from most strip malls because it's not only that every building is painted black, but its businesses are built and run by black women. Meet Angel Gregorio. She describes herself as a mother, a home cook, an activist, an educator, and a person who has a knack for blurring the line between food and fashion. She's a DC entrepreneur who opened her second location for her specialty spice shop called the Spice Suite. She transformed an old tow truck and auto body repair lot into a mini strip mall in under 1 year. She said she named the mini mall Black and Forth because it was just this catchy and cool name that I created because it describes my process of going back and forth with black business owners. The four other businesses joining Miss Gregorio's Spice Suite will be hair, nail, waxing, and hair braiding salons that will be leasing space from Miss Gregorio and setting up shop inside of renovated shipping containers. The owner of the nail salon called Nailed It had been operating from her apartment in Southeast DC for the last 6 years, according to news station NBC4. Miss Gregorio has a plan to grow Black and Forth with the goal of opening a farmers market where she'll invite black farmers and growers to sell their produce and other goods on Sundays in the open space in front of the Spice Suite. Until then, the Spice Suite will be open Thursday through Sunday and selling items familiar to regular customers like spices, honey, and cooking oil. Just like her first retail space in the Tacoma neighborhood on 4th Street Northwest, the Spice Suite in Langdon will also welcome guest pop-up shops to sell their products without a rental fee. The Tacoma Northwest location hosted more than 450 different businesses. Mrs. Gregorio said, "The goal of this space is to build community. And another goal is for there to be more than one black-owned, woman-run strip mall in DC. I wanted this to become a model," she said. Ms. Gregorio is a DC native and Howard University alumni. The 37-year-old mother admits that the idea of running this business didn't begin from a long-term vision of selling homemade spices. She said in 2015, she walked by a vacant storefront with no desire to be a small business owner and decided on the spot to turn it into a spice shop. "It was the most serendipitous thing ever. I literally was walking past a for lease sign and decided to call and see what the rent would be," said Ms. Gregorio, who started her career in the education sector, serving as an assistant principal before launching her company. "I asked the landlord and he wouldn't tell me the price until I told him what I would do with the space." At the time, Ms. Gregorio said she had no idea what she wanted to do with the Tacoma neighborhood space, but knew she was inspired to help give back to the community. "On a whim, I just said, 'Spices. Can you tell me the price?' And it stuck." Ms. Gregorio said from the conversation that occurred 8 years ago. In 2015, spices became the theme of Ms. Gregorio's business, and now she's developed her business into a broader vision by developing an incubator program for other black women entrepreneurs, who she calls the Spice Girls, as part of the Spice Suite. The Spice Girls are a collective of black women who have products that are handmade or uniquely sourced. They have a regularly recurring pop-up slot at my store where they sell their products, and in exchange, they run my shop for me," said Ms. Gregorio. Not only did she land a spot in the top 40 during season 8 of the TV show MasterChef, but in 2018, the Spice Suite was named DC's Small Business of the Year by DC Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. 2 years later, in 2020, the Spice Suite made $1.5 million in revenue. It was $1 million more than she did in the previous year, according to Forbes magazine. On January 13, 2023, DC's Mayor Muriel Bowser and other DC officials were on hand to celebrate the ribbon cutting of Black and Forth's new location at 2201 Channing Street, Northeast DC. Ms. Gregorio welcomed everyone to the ribbon cutting and opened with how she purchased the property on December 10th, 2021. She said it was an old tow truck company that was ugly and gross and not much happening over here in the industrial neighborhood of Langdon Park. But she said she had a vision to turn the space into a space for herself and other Black women. She said, "I was able to turn this thing into something ultra Black, in color aesthetic and in theory with the people." The $1 million purchase of the property was made possible with the launch of Mayor Bowser's Commercial Property Acquisition Fund in 2022. It was part of a larger initiative to keep longtime residents and businesses in DC who are financially disadvantaged or have been subjected to cultural bias. Ms. Gregorio explained how the whole thing started. "Before I saw the space, before I even got to that point, there was a conversation. There was a conversation with council member Kenyon McDuffie, who's now at-large council member. We had a conversation, just casually, about commercial property and purchasing and inequities and the injustices that happen when it comes to commercial property ownership. And then, in true council member McDuffie fashion, he turned our conversation into legislation, and that became the Commercial Property Acquisition Fund. I became the first recipient of the Commercial Property Acquisition Fund. I can't do this by myself. I don't want to do this by myself. I want to do this with a whole bunch of people. I want to continue to bring people along. The shipping containers that you see outside, those 4 shipping containers will be the new home for TGR Beauty, PRMP Brow and Wax Studio, the Braid Bar 202, and She Nailed It. Those are 4 Black women-owned salon services, and I'm hoping that using these shipping containers and placing them on my property that I own, I really hope that it starts a conversation around affordable commercial space. We have a lot of conversations in this city and in this country about affordable housing. I'm not sure I've heard a conversation about making commercial space affordable." DC Council member Kenyon McDuffie walks to the microphone and he says, "You heard Angel talk about our conversation that we had a while ago in Tacoma Park about the thriving business that she has there. But the opportunities to expand, and really the opportunities that I've been afforded, and so many people across the United States who don't look like Angel, and the need for a city like ours in the nation's capital that's run by a Black woman mayor who is native to our city, to make investments in our small businesses in ways that are transformational, in ways that work towards closing the largest racial wealth gaps of any city in the United States, right here in our nation's capital." So when we thought about the challenges that so many people like Angel may have faced, and I'm sure so many other people in this room today have faced, with trying to get a loan from a traditional financial institution, from trying to identify a property that you can actually own rather than rent. It's the same thing Latoya Lyles is doing at Tsunami Hair Studio on Benton Road in Ward 7. And it's the same thing that we hope more people would do right here in the District of Columbia. So Angel was the first, Latoya was the second, and there are others who have been recipients. And we're going to keep making these sorts of investments so we can do the sorts of transformational things that allow our Black and brown entrepreneurs not only to be great business people, just to build wealth, but they can pass on for generations to come. I'd also like to recognize my successor, who I've worked with in a brief time that he's been council member, but who has brought a level of energy that I'm excited about because he also represents me as a Ward 5 resident, and that's Ward 5 council member Zachary Parker. Zachary Parker walked to the microphone, and some of what he said was, I'm not going to say much different that has already been said by Angel. Sincerely, congratulations. This is a truly inspiring. And looking out at all these people, what I'm most inspired by is that this is the first of many more of these types of businesses to come. I also want to acknowledge the vision, the foresight, and the fight of Councilmember McDuffie, without whom this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you for your leadership. Because what is also inspiring about this is that we have more black businesses in the city and also in the ward, black women businesses in the city and in this ward, and black women-owned businesses in this city and in this ward. Emphasis on owned. What I love about this story is that it's not just so much about building opportunities for one person, one business, but it's about opening doors for hundreds of other business owners. And that is what a solidarity economy is all about. So again, congratulations, Angel. Welcome to Ward 5, and as I said earlier, anything that you need, anything that I can do, I am here to support you. Mayor Bowser was the last speaker, and she walked up to the microphone, and some of what she said was, I was so happy to see that your vision is growing and expanding and moving to different places around the city and bringing that energy to life right here in Ward 5. Isn't this a fantastic facility? I talked this week when we were together about the beauty business and about part of your business being focused on women and wellness, and the Spice Suite has always catered to the community. What you have done here is proof that you can be a one-stop shop for the city's and the region's beauty needs right here in Ward 5. And I know we are celebrating, as Council Member McDuffie has already said, a very important program that we have put together for Washingtonians, and that is the Commercial Acquisition Fund. What it says is, if you have a business in Washington, D.C. and you're making rent payments, how do you turn that into making wealth for yourself and your family? And what we are saying as a city is you are important. Your business is important. The fact that you are committed to hiring DC residents and serving DC residents is important. And we want to be your partner. And the way that we're going to be your partner is with cash money to help you buy your space. I don't know about you, but this is how I feel when I walk into my front door. It's mine. It's mine, and I can invest in it. I can paint it. I can change the roof. I can make it all black inside. It's mine. And there's no feeling like that because you know that you're investing in yourself and in your future. And what we want more Washingtonians to think about the opportunities that we have in the city government and opportunities that we have to work with the private sector. So congratulations, Kenyon McDuffie. I got to congratulate the council member because he's done some things on the council that, quite frankly, when I joined the council in 2007, we wouldn't have been able to do together. And that's to say that we as a city are going to have programs and services for black businesses, black people, black homeowners, and black women, because we have some making up to do with the systems that have kept us from those resources in the past. So we're going to get it done. While Ms. Gregorio states economic freedom is always the goal, she hasn't envisioned any plans as of yet to sell or expand her business model outside of the DC area in the near future. Instead, she wants to keep focusing on blessing others in her community, which she says in turn has helped her thrive in her own business ventures. I went to the Spice Suite to buy some spices. I didn't use the products myself because I gave them away as a gift. I took a picture of the ladies standing in front of me in line. Now this is the symbol of women celebrating women. Some women came to the shop not knowing who the guest vendor would be, including myself, and one woman was just replenishing her regular kitchen staples. The neighborhood itself, as it seems to me, to be a quiet working class community. I didn't notice a lot of cars traveling up and down the street, and it was just a few people walking down the sidewalk at the time that I was there. There's a lot less cars flooding the side streets and less oil spills on the ground because the towing company is no longer there. It seems to me that it's slightly more single family houses than there are multi-family homes or retail shops in the immediate area around Channing Street Northeast. Miss Gregorio said, "It is literally like this old African proverb, lifting as we climb." Understanding that this isn't just some theoretical thing, but it's a necessity. I really hope that I'm not the last one. I don't want to be the only black woman to own a strip mall in DC. I want there to be multiple. I want a lot of us to do this. I want this to become the model. I want this to become the blueprint. What do you think about the business opportunities in Washington, D.C.? Leave a comment and give your opinion about the new face of DC business. I'm Dickie D, your DC tour guide, and I thank you for traveling with me around DC, and I will see you in the next video.